Some Gamergate supporters claim that they cared about creative freedom. Do you think that belief was genuine?
Um, Probably similar to the James games journalism question, I suppose. Some probably did. And again, like it gets more complicated as Gamergate went on. At the very beginning of it, I don't think so at all. At the very beginning, it was all about the Zoe Quinn thing, and then like the immediate backlash to the backlash. Um, After that, yeah, people probably joined who did care. Um, a friend of mine did go in sort of. I think they were like mostly concerned with like journalism stuff and maybe like a little bit of like censorshipy kind of things. And like I talked with them a little bit about um, sort of my concerns about it all and sort of like how it all started. And we never really talked about it again, so I don't know what their ultimate takeaway was. But some people do care about these things and they want to find someone talking about it. It's just sort of unfortunate that it was Gamergate, I suppose.
I'm. You obviously talk with a lot of Gamergate people and are friends with people who supported Gamergate, and
Mm,
yet you also view it as being this really, really bad thing, especially in the beginning and maybe less so later on. But how do you think about that and like the relationships you've built with these people who you don't really view as being moral monsters, I presume?
right. Um, mm, it would be sort of harder if people were the sort of moral monsters, I suppose, or if they were the sort of folks who initiated everything and were fairly unrepentant about it. Um, there is room to have concerns about these issues, ethics, censorship, this and that and the other. Like these are things to be concerned about. And while there are issues to be had in sort of putting one's weight behind Gamergate, that is mostly bad in and around when it started. As things got on, things get a little more muddy, and there's less room for like definitive conclusions about things. I would still find it bad, but not like completely. Um, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Disqualifying, I suppose. And plus, like I don't know, like there's some interactions with some folks in like the server or whatever that I feel less compelled to have, and some folks who I'm less uncompelled to have. So just a matter of who I would jive with better, I suppose. Mm.
Yeah. How do you feel I've handled the moderate? We can talk about this off air instead if you prefer. How do you feel as though I have handled the moderation of the server? I'm sure you've seen. I haven't had to moderate too much, thankfully, I feel, but there have been a couple of instances when
Mm.
I did.
Um, there's a little bit when I was like reading out a lot more. Now again, I just sort of like pop in and like look at a few things, but I don't really have too much. Um, how should I say? Time to really like interact, I suppose. Um, Remember when we had that like panel that I joined in the other time, like I was sort of like reading a bunch of stuff going on. There was some discussion about like this troll doing stuff, and there's a discussion about like trans issues and things. I was like, all right, I'm gonna like weigh in on this, I suppose. Um,
Well, you picked like
so
the Batman and Max Sand. I don't. I'm fine with their. They they are. He even goes by the notorious Max Sand. It's such a
mm,
weird thing because well, GamerGate obviously people were drawn to the conversation of GamerGate and on both sides, and also neutral people, and also trolls. And like the trolls took many forms. There were many different types of trolls, which is like a weird part of the story. Like there were like the really bad trolls, like the Bill Wagner crew and Baphomet. and groups like that like really did fuck with people in
Hmm.
bad ways on both sides even. Um, both of them targeted me actually. uh, but then there's also like other tiers of trolls who were well. There was also like the people like Avius. He didn't even know what Gamergate was. He says, but
Mm.
he didn't like social justice warriors, and so him and his friends. He was 14 years old at the time, so like like he wasn't like an adult. He was 14. He says he regrets doing it. I'm interviewing him. Um, he would just send a bunch of really horrible shit at social justice warriors, quote unquote, to
Mm.
fuck with them. Him and his friend group did, and they would like have like a legit harassment campaign against these people. Um, and like there were people like that, and that's not good either. And then there were people like Batman and Max Sand,
Mm.
and it was they were like these, they were like moderate trolls. They would troll and they'd fuck with people, but they would never like send death threats. They would never, um, as far as I could tell, right? I never saw them do this sort of thing. But they would want to troll people on both sides. Mostly the GamerGate side, actually, they trolled. They trolled us by doing shit like they did with me recently,
Mm.
where they would jump into the server, um, pretend to be somebody else,
Yeah.
and then like try to get the other person banned and like poke the moderator's buttons on purpose just to fuck with them. Like, okay, so I should explain. Um, this so Batman joins. So Max Sand joins the server first. Then Batman joins. They have like a heated confrontation. Even you and some other people jump into this confrontation.
Mm.
But Batman doesn't reveal that he's using a different name. He's using a fake name. So nobody knows he's Batman. And then they have this heated confrontation over trans issues. But like it's like civil, but it's heated. And then Batman using this fake name is like, "Oh, I'm being harassed in DMs by Max Sant."
Mm.
And I'm like, "Well, hang on, I gotta look into this now. Fuck, I don't have to waste. I waste like 4 hours of my life on this shit. Okay,
Eh.
not fun." So
Mm.
I'm like, "Oh, he's like, oh, I'm being harassed." And he sends me like screenshots, and I'm like, "I'm gonna have to see a screen share. I can't ban somebody based on screenshots alone, because those can be faked so easily."
Mm.
And like this whole back and forth. It's like, oh no, I deleted the message. I can't screen share it. It was like this really suspicious thing. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then Batman, um, he tries to convince me. It's like, oh please, please just ban this guy. He's harassing me. It's so bad. And like just like this whole sob story. And then I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but if I don't have like a screen share, I can't do it. I can't
Mm.
I can't do it. And then he reveals after like this 6 hour or 4 or 6 hour thing, like some super it was a part of my life I'm never gonna get back. But it was actually pretty funny, so like I'm okay with it.
Mm.
Then he reveals publicly, he posts his image, the Batman picture. And it's like, oh no, I've been trolled. Oh god, like they do shit like that. And like they so like they're I'm like I don't they're harmless trolls like those ones are. I don't like have a problem with that so much. Opinions differ on how to deal with those kind of people um within the
I,
GG space because like they don't like harass people but they're annoying. But they're annoying in funny ways. Like that's actually a legitimately funny thing that happened.
I guess it is it is a thing to do that is beyond me. I don't know. I don't have I don't have the time or inclination or I don't, I'm more introverted than not. I'm gonna like fuck with people just for fun. Like I don't know. Like it's just I, I don't know. Like I, how should I say? It's kind of nihilistic in a little bit way in the way that like I can't really like agree with like you don't care about anything. I don't know. I guess it's funny, but like I mean at the time like I get like the way it was like coming out was like this person was like feeling the the character being played was like someone popping in and getting like um, sort of anti-queer like stuff sort of reacted to them, and they were like feel the reaction they were playing up was sort of feeling hurt and sort of like offended by it, and it's like, I mean, this is a thing that could happen, and like it makes me feel uncomfortable, I suppose. So I was like, what to do with this? And like you might, and the whole original question was like, how do I feel about like your moderation things? It's like, well, you moderate in the way you do. I probably do it differently. I understand that it's like a space where you want to have like discussions and stuff, and prioritizing free speech more than that. But like, I don't know. It is harmless, like you say, I suppose, but it does like
Well, that specific
mess with
incident was
people.
harmless because no one was actually harmed.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but this is something that could happen in like the future and like be a real thing.
Mm,
Unlike what it was then. But
right.
but it's difficult because I'm trying to. I want to have a space where people can like discuss things, like you said, have debates, and that's fine. But I have a
Mm,
very strict no targeting specific individuals policy. So like if
yeah.
somebody were to use like well, I don't have. I also have like a no racism rule. Like that's something I thought completely off limits, like zero.
Right.
Um, but um, but like it's difficult because like society, like real life, the country's divided like almost 50-50 on a lot of these issues, a lot of the trans issues, and like I want to, as a streamer and as someone who talks about politics, I want to be able to foster a discussion and debate about these things in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And that's why I draw the line at you can never make it personal. You can't like use slurs, things like that. You can't like do stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a difficult thing to pursue. I feel like there's a lot of, how should I say? Where's that thing go? There's this saying where like the amount of energy needed to refute bullshit is an order of magnitude bigger than to produce it. And for a lot of stuff around trans issues, it's such a moral panic. A lot of the what is needed to sort of um, talk people down can be a Herculean effort, and then you get called a groomer, and then they run away. And it's like, well, no, whatever will come of that, I suppose. So it's a heck of a thing to do.
We've got 7 people watching on YouTube. Okay, smash that like button, people. Okay. Pinko Merchant says, this one time at Bandcamp, Tachyon was so used to being trolled that he banned me from the server for a few weeks just on suspicion I was an alt-right troll. This is true. I didn't know if he was. I didn't think he was like an alt-right troll necessarily. I did think that was possible, but I, I thought he might have been like like one of the really bad trolls, like someone who was like actually going to like fucking like fuck fuck
Hmm.
fuck with like the people who actually went after people in Gamergate on both sides.
Right.
Um,
I mean, taking a no tolerance approach is certainly easier, so it's harder to sort of like tread that line. So I don't know. I guess good luck, I suppose.
but I was wrong. I don't think he's actually a troll. But like, dude, his look at his avatar. It's the Jew guy.
Are they like trolling you to see if you're a troll? I don't know. I mean,
Uh,
that's a kind of a troll.
it's all we're getting way too sidetracked. Sorry. Thank you for
Mm.
smashing the like button, people. By the way, I see that some of you have. One of you has. All right. Thank you for watching another Gamergate book video segment. For 30 days, starting on December 9th, I'm running a Kickstarter campaign for this project, so please back the campaign for the people of Gamergate on Kickstarter or at gamergatebook.com. This project investigating and documenting the history of Gamergate from a variety of perspectives requires your support, and I appreciate it. Thank you.